The 2026 FIFA World Cup meal at McDonald's is underway with one of 9 legendary cups in the lineup. Christian Pulisic, David Beckham, Lamine Yamal, Ronaldinho, Thierry Henry, Son Heung-min, Alphonso Davies, Santi Jimenez. And between the posts, it's Grimace. Get one of 9 collectible cups with a FIFA World Cup meal.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time while supplies last. All rights reserved. 2026 McDonald's at FIFA World Cup 2026.
This episode is brought to you by Prime. What if you had one more chance with the one that got away?
Sam, you came home.
Based on the best-selling novel from Carly Fortune. Every Year After follows childhood friends Sam and Percy as they reunite in the dreamy, nostalgic lakeside town of Barry's Bay.
Love can be hard to find. So if you're lucky enough to find that person, never let go.
A second chance at first love. Every Year After, now streaming only on Prime.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Yo, this is Tyler Bryant from The Shakedown. I've been hanging out with Jay Scott on the Hook Rocks.
Never had a lot to put on the table, but I got so much to give. I'm learning fast, yeah, I'm willing and able. I ain't too proud to admit I'm the vagabond dreamer, midnight rambling teether. The crossroads are my home, and I never let someone get in the way. No, I never settled on anything. Well, I never could have anticipated you.
What's happening? What's going on? How you doing? It's Jay Scott. It's the Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Always appreciate you stopping by. Had some great shows recently, so I hope you're all checking them out. But before we begin, as I always mention, we are part of the Pantheon podcast platform, a great network of music-related podcasts. You can check out some of my buddies on the show or on Pantheon, like Carmen Apice and Vinny Appice on the Hangin' and Bangin' podcast, Martin Popoff, the rock historian, the great Mistress Carrie out in Boston, Tom and Zeus on the #1 rated Kiss podcast, Shout Out Loudcast, Matt from the Ugly American Werewolf in London podcast, as well as Chris and Aaron on Decibel Geek. Don't forget to follow Pantheon Pods at pantheonpodcast.com, as well as social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Pantheon Pods, as well as you can follow the Hook Rocks on all those platforms at the Hook Rocks. So please search up those social media platforms and give us a follow. Also, follow us wherever you do podcasts, whether it's Amazon, Apple, or Spotify. We're available everywhere. You can enjoy all 400 plus episodes we've done over the past 3 years. and set your app to automatic download so you get the latest episode right to your phone. We've had some great episodes recently, some great new music spotlights with the Ravagers and Bourbon House and the heavy metal band from Chicago, Ignescent, as well as Sam Bam Colton, who's on tour with Dorothy, amazing guitar player, so check him out, as well as Tyler Bryant, Tuck Smith as well. Tuck Smith has a new album coming out. Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown just released their new album. So check out those two great interviews. We've also celebrated a 3-year anniversary with Stephen Piercy from Rat, and that was an enjoyable conversation. And our live album review with UFOs, Strangers of the Night, and our legacy show covering Whitesnake and their career as well. Please check out all those and more. And we've got another great episode for you today. I always say they're great episodes because I always enjoy the conversations that I have with artists. And, speaking of which, don't forget to check out our audio expert Skylab talking about building a home recording studio in 2022. I got to mention that one because it's a great episode, and it's also pretty valuable for young artists and bands who want to stop paying for studio time and the ease of use and flexibility, especially with technology these days. So check out that episode as well. But as I was saying, that had some really great episodes recently over the past couple months that I'm really happy about and really proud of. So it's going to continue with today's episode with a young emerging artist from Nashville, Tennessee. Her first album released last year, Underdog Anthems, was just absolutely fantastic. The girl can sing and she can shred and she can write a tune, and that's Jax Hollow. And welcome to the show, Jax. How are you?
Damn, man, I'm great. Y'all been busy. Shit.
We are busy. We keep ourselves, we don't waste any time here, Jax.
Nah, for real, dude. The artists that you're naming off, I'm just like, damn, he's like popping off, like Tyler Bryant and Dorothy. I'm like, holy shit, dude, that's amazing.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's nice to interview the artists that I'm a fan of. And yeah, I can't believe we've done over 400 episodes. So it's kind of wild.
That is very wild. 3 years, 400 episodes. That's pretty badass, man.
Yeah. I love talking music. It's one of my favorite things to do. So anytime I get a chance, whether it's 3-4 times a week, once a week, whatever, I will always take that opportunity.
Even after a surgery.
Even after a surgery. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I was recording episodes in the rehab center that I was in. I was like, you know what? I need to do something. So
amazing.
So
nurses are like, what's going on in there?
I'm telling the nurses, like, do not disturb me for the next hour.
Right.
I'm doing something here on Zoom. But yeah, I had to keep myself busy, which was very beneficial, because when you're doing that and you're keeping yourself busy and you're talking music, you kind of forget about what's going on, which is a good thing. But yeah, it helped me heal, and got a couple more weeks of recovery left, and then it's no stopping me.
Dude, nothing's stopping you, man. Yeah.
Well, nothing's stopping you, because you've got a great new album released last year. You've got new music coming out in 2023, and it's absolutely fantastic. And we're going to get into all that. But before we begin, I always ask the same first question every time we have a first-time guest. And that's really what we're about here on The Hook Rocks. And my listeners know that they always enjoy this question, because every answer is always different, uniquely different. And that is just like every rock song that has a hook that sucks you in. Every rock fan has a moment, whether it's a song, an album, a performance, or a band, that hooked them on rock and roll. What was it for you?
A real live moment, or just me like fumbling?
When did you connect with rock?
When
did you connect with music?
Oh, I wish I had like a cool, like, man, like this lightning strike hit me, but it really was just like, I was on YouTube, and I like, back in the day when YouTube didn't have rules and you could just post a bunch of like bootleg shit and no one got flagged. I saw like this performance of like Zeppelin just playing like this weird song, Boogie with Stu. I don't know. And I was just like, bam. That was it. It was like, it kind of boring in terms of like, nothing monumental like looking, but just like that energy. I was like, yep, that's right. I want to be Jimmy Page, but like in chick form.
That's not anytime there's Led Zeppelin moments, that is not a boring story. That is a monumental story. Anytime there's, especially Led Zeppelin bootlegs. I am a Led Zeppelin bootleg collector. So I feel it from you, and if you ever get a chance to go back on YouTube, search up Song Remains the Same, live in 1977 at the LA Forum, I believe it is. And the first song they do, it's not live in 77. The first song they do is Song Remains the Same. And I promise you, you will hear drumming that you have never heard before. John Bonham is on another planet. He's in another reality on that song. His fills go completely to the edge, and somehow he makes it back in on time perfectly. It's just absolutely incredible.
Have you ever just watched his face and just been is he breathing and exhaling and inhaling at the same time? His mouth is wide open and you can't tell sometimes. Yeah. He's got incredible. The most interesting face. It's he's in pain. He's not. He's just totally he's just a god. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's a drum track of Fool in the Rain on YouTube. And it's a funny story because I was listening to it with my son who's 17 and I'm playing it for him. And he goes, well, Dad, all that is just a loop. And I go, that's no loop, son. That is him doing it with just perfect timing and not looping it. He's doing that for however long the song is. They didn't have loops back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as far as your musical journey, Boogie with Stu, Led Zeppelin, was your first introduction to music. But where did it go from there? I mean, you picked up the guitar, you absolutely shred. You've got an incredible voice. You got incredible songs. What was the next step for you?
Well, damn, thank you, man. That means a lot coming from you. I appreciate that.
It's all true.
Step. Well, yeah, it's it's the strange in between period when you've recorded the best shit you've ever written and and you've recorded it with the best musicians in Nashville at one of the best studios you could possibly record at, and you're just sitting on it and you're okay, what now? That's I'm in a very, very strange limbo phase where I'm just can I just release all this and just start right away? But you gotta plan stuff out and figure things out and talk to people and meet people, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, man, I'm so fucking stoked for wherever this record goes. I mean, it really is not to toot my own horn, but it's the best work I've ever done. And I spent a lot of time on these songs, unhealthy amounts of time. Some of them have been rewritten, some of them just pop right out and you're bam, nice. But every song, I mean, you know how it is. Every song is birthed in a strange way. And I can't wait to show people, but I don't know. I have to wait. I have to be patient. That's a thing, right? Patience.
It's all about timing. It's all about where you're at, and the perfect time to release the music. And, if you got people around you that are, working towards the same goal, which I believe you do, it's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Great people, great team, great, sort of direction, but just timing, and distribution. I don't know, again, independent artists, a lot of the guys you've been hanging out with and talking to, incredible artists, but it's a lot of them are independent still, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I believe, Tyler Bryant just went independent on his new record.
Okay.
In the interview, he talks about how it gives them more freedom to put out what they want when they want to do it. They don't have to wait for a schedule, for a management company or for a record, most likely a record company, because they have their schedule of what they want to release over a certain period of time. They can just release it whenever they want. They can release tracks that they never released on, the albums that they recorded whenever they want. So it really is beneficial. When I talk to artists that, are independent, I don't know, they seem a lot happier. They seem a lot more in control of their own destiny. And with the conversations I've had over the 3 years that I've been doing the show, I've heard off the record horror stories. I've heard great stories though when people go independent. And I think there's a reason. I believe with all the conversations I've had and all the people that I've met through this show, that being an independent artist in today's age, in modern music, is really the way to go. Now, what replaces that record deal that everybody wants to chase after is a good management deal. Because really where the direction goes is really in management. If you have a good management company that is really supportive and really working to help you instead of hinder you, that's probably the most important thing. I mean, you think of Dirty Honey, for instance. They're still independent. And
yeah, but they're under the wing of like the Black Crowes guys, right?
The management company, I believe, maybe. Yeah. But again, it's management. They don't have a record deal. They everything is independent. And I had John Nato and Tyler Baker from Goodbye June on the same show, and it was a great episode. And I asked them, I said, is there ever a chance or an opportunity that you'll sign with a record label? And he kind of shrugged his shoulders casually, and he said, if it makes sense. But right now we have a great team, a small team around us that is really working towards, helping us and get to the next level. That when you get into with a record label, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they want it to be what they want it to be instead of what you want it to be.
I've got a confession to make, though.
What's that?
Speaking of Dirty Honey, I've got the biggest crush on Mark Lavelle. Are you kidding me? I'm like, whew, that man. Oh, beautiful man. His voice is like,
he does have a great voice. He does have a great, he is a good looking guy too, as well.
He is.
So, he was actually one of our first guests here. God, 3 years ago, almost 4. Well, no, it's October 2019. So yeah, around 3 years ago. But they're great. They're fantastic. But again,
oh yeah, I've seen them. They came to Nashville. I saw them. And Wolfgang. They were. I guess someone got like COVID, and they like still went. They still played a marathon, and there was a sliver of a chance that I was going to open for them, and it fell through. Like there was that little sliver because they're like, well, you need an opening band in Nashville, and there was a connection that we had, and I was just like, let's do it, and then they didn't choose me, and I was like, oh, it hurts.
It'll happen. It'll happen, Jax. It'll come through. I'll be in Nashville first week in November. Butch Walker's playing at the Brooklyn Bowl.
Bet.
And I'm going to go check that out.
Cool.
So he's an artist you got to see live.
Dude, when is that? What, November?
It's November 1st.
Shit, dude. All right. I'll fucking tag along if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I've got a couple buddies coming in. One of my friends from LA and another friend from Chicago. And we're definitely going to hit that show because Butch is there's two types of people in the world. Those that know who Butch Walker is and those who haven't heard of him yet.
Nice.
So he's fantastic.
All right, dude. I'm there. I want to check him out.
I'll email you before I hit the road down there. So absolutely. But at the Brooklyn Bowl, November 1st.
Uh-huh. Sounds good.
So getting back to what we were talking about, though, you mentioned Boogie with Stu, and where did music really kind of continue for you with guitar playing, with singing? What was the next step after you saw that?
Well, the next step was being super competitive in middle school and going to a hippie school in Western Massachusetts. And there was like 30 kids per grade in like the middle school and high school I went to. And we all just like, it's kind of, we just picked up guitars and instruments, and whoever could come in with the coolest riff kind of like got, bragging rights for the day. So I would like try the hardest Zeppelin riff. I'd play Over the Hills and Far Away like a million times on a guitar until like I could come in and play it. And then someone would one up me the next day, and then I'd come in with a harder riff. And so, yeah, probably just out of competitiveness.
Was there a moment when you wanted to be, a recording artist, like a singer songwriter, you wanted to perform, or was that just always there from the beginning?
Yeah, that kind of came into fruition. Like, speaking of hippies, I don't know. It's just randomly I don't know, things just like align. And for some reason, out of all the places in the world, there's this woman named June Millington who's part of Fanny. I don't know if you know Fanny. They're like one of the first female rock bands ever. And she actually just did this amazing documentary, and I think they're releasing it soon. She happened to have like this rock and roll like camp thing just for like young women in music, and like random place, Goshen, Massachusetts. And as a teenager, I was like, I stumbled upon it because one of my friends went to it and it like changed their life. And I went there, and all of a sudden there was like this safe space where I like discovered songwriting. It's like this amazing, just like piece of like music heaven where you can just go and be like your strange creative self and like experiment with music and like, and then community. And it's just this place where there's guitars all over the floor and good food and great vibes. And that's where I wrote like my first songs, and I just completely fell in love with it,
What was first for you, the guitar or singing or writing lyrics?
Guitar was first. Remember, because, I wanted to be a female Jimmy Page. And then I actually was really against singing. I didn't sing for like the first 2 years when I played guitar. I was like, ugh, singing. I can't sing. And at IMA, there was this woman, I'll never forget her. Her name is Melanie DeMore, and she was a vocal coach that would come into the Institute for Musical Arts. And she like pulled me aside one day and she's like, "You're going to sing." And I was like, "Ha, what? Who do you think you are?" And she forced me to sing one time, and I was so frustrated. And, I'm trying to be this tough little girl. And I like broke down crying because like I was so like, it just made me so uncomfortable. Like, I hated my voice. I hated the way I looked, all of the middle school, like, or teenage things, and after that breakthrough of her forcing me to sing, she's like, "Yeah, you're going to be a singer." And I was like, I didn't believe her, but I think eventually, when you sing enough, you start to not hate your voice. Maybe the threshold is like 3 years. I don't know. 3 years of singing, then you start to kind of be okay with listening to yourself sing. But she was right. Melanie DeMore. She's an incredible woman, incredible singer. She does amazing things. Yeah, see, those are the people that just wander into the Institute for Musical Arts in Goshen, Massachusetts. Gail Dorsey from like, she played with David Bowie. Like, she just was there at IMA. Like, people just like come in. Like, it's just wild. It's a cool place,
It's a place that shaped you, right?
Yeah. And I would do anything for those girls, those women. I would, that I like, if I ever like actually get somewhere where I have money coming in, it's going there, Yeah.
What about writing lyrics for you? Is it personal experience? Is it observation? Are you trying to tell a story? Where do you get your motivation or your inspiration for writing?
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, it kind of comes from a lot of different places all the time at once. And as a songwriter, you just kind of have to like be open to catching little snippets, little songs, little ideas, little melodies, like here and there, no matter throughout the day, you're like on a treadmill or something and you get like, a rhythm that you're tapping out on like the treadmill, it's like, from all different angles all the time. And then, you sort of, in my opinion, a lot of the times it'll snowball into something, a story, an idea, sort of like a thesis statement. Sometimes we're looking for, composition. But it usually like takes on its own little form, and you just have to sort of like manipulate that ball of clay into something that makes sense and is true to what the initial reaction and the initial emotion was,
How do you tap into that?
It is so frustrating because sometimes you get this 40-minute window of opportunity that's like, holy shit, I'm on top of the goddamn world. And you're looking down and you're like, why right now? And it's just, you've got this full like connection lightning strike from like the tip of your finger down to like earth. And you feel like nothing can stop you. And you're like writing, and then 40 minutes goes by. And then like you kind of peter out and you're like, did I capitalize enough on this like inspiration moment?
Do you ever, when you are capitalizing on that, is it something you record on your iPhone? Are you in the studio like waiting for it to happen and it happens? Or is it something like you start kind of thumbing around your guitar, and what's the process for you?
Yeah, the phone is never far away if something like that is happening, or probably really far away from me in general. Let's be real. But yeah, definitely voice memos is kind of like the saving grace. But also, you got to think of like, yeah, I've listened to podcasts and like listened to like the greats, and a lot of the advice is like, if you can't remember it, then it wasn't good. It wasn't worth remembering, and I guess obviously there's truth to that too. Like, do I need to be so meticulous and like record every idea I have? No, but I do it,
Well, it has to be a sense of like wonder. I mean, if you don't record something, because a lot of artists may record something, they put something down, and maybe it's just not right for the moment that you're in. But a lot of artists go back to things when they're working on new material that maybe they have recorded several years ago. And maybe that part that they played on guitar or hummed the melody may work in a song that they're putting together.
Yeah.
So it's always evolving, right? I mean, it may not work for anything you're into now or writing now, but eventually it may fit somewhere.
Right. So we're basically professional, like puzzle piece, maneuverers, right? Like, that's what's wild is, I had this, I totally forgot about it. But one time I was in New Orleans and I had like, I was like sitting outside and I wrote this like jazz bit, like this really complicated, like finger picking jazz thing. And it was really cool. And I was like, that's awesome. And I voice recorded that and then I tucked it away. And then, a lot of artists, when they go in the studio, they're like, well, do I have any gems that I just kind of looked over? And I went back and I was like, I remember that one day I was in New Orleans and I just like played something and I played it on, I like went, you have to scroll for days on your like voice memos. And I played it and I was like, whoa, there's like something here. This is capturing some kind of like emotion, melody. This is creepy and sexy at the same time. I really dig this vibe. And it ended up being my song Ventriloquist, which is going on the new record. So that's totally, and I know a lot of times guys won't dig those up until they're going back in the studio and they're like, whoa. And that's a good sign. If it like impacts you again, then you're onto something that's worth investigating,
Absolutely. I mean, how do you create the connection though for something like that was recorded however many months, however many years ago?
Like connection in like kind of reviving the song and like actually completing it, or?
Well, both. I mean, that aspect and just connecting to it emotionally.
Well, I think that's what comes back to like what, like, I don't know, Paul McCartney and people say, where it's like, if something is strong, like you can trust in the fact that it's strong and you'll come back to it and you'll gravitate toward it. Like, have you ever like written something, put it away, and then, you know, you're in the shower and you're humming something, you're like, wait a second.
Well, I do have, ideas. And then sometimes I'm like the worst at remembering ideas. So I do need to jot them down, and I do need to keep like track of them, because like it'll hit me like 3 months later. I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to do that, and I didn't, and I need to do that. So I'm not more or less, musically inclined where I'm, humming a melody. I'm more like thinking of ideas for, creating for the show or the podcast. And then like, my mind is always, working and, working overtime usually. And I come up with these ideas, and then I'm like, oh, what was I thinking about yesterday? What was it? And I got to make sure I'm writing stuff down.
Yeah, definitely. So more like, what's it called? Like left brain, right brain kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Have you checked out that new Broken Record podcast thing with Jack White? It's like a new
I have
new
not.
episode.
I'm a huge Jack White fan. I need to check it out.
Yeah. You got to check that out, because for 1 second there, he was talking about how he wrote Seven Nation Army, and it was so like weird because he was so analytical about it. He's like, well, I wanted to create like this, melody that went somewhere that you weren't expecting it to go, and then I wanted to basically distort that and put this thing over it and not have it be like a guitar thing. And I was like, he goes into it like so, like, I don't know, like he's an engineer, and you're just like, whoa, like there's a lot of engineering behind this art shit, but at the end of the day, no matter how much math you do, it really is so frustrating and heartbreaking, because it's like sometimes it just strikes you and you're like given a gift. And I've had like sessions come up where I'm just like, this needs to happen now. And the more you force it to come out, man, it just doesn't come. I don't know. Maybe there's guys that have like a superpower, but I know like the best stuff I've gotten has just been like me sitting on a train track, alone with the guitar. It's just like, that's what makes it so exciting, because you just don't really know what you're going to get when you wake up.
There are artists, though, that do have that ability, and I've always wondered how they can tap into that stuff continuously.
You text me, you let me know.
If I get the reason, I will let you know.
Yeah.
What about staying connected with the music? I mean, you mentioned this album is finished for next year. How do you stay connected with music that is already recorded and yet to come out while you're still creating? I mean, you don't stop creating. You're constantly moving forward. You're writing riffs, you're writing lyrics. So there's things that you're getting excited about, but you have this album, this music that people have yet to hear, people have yet to absorb and respond to. And your headspace is kind of caught between both. How do you manage that? How do you navigate through that?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, especially when like the first record is so different than this record. First record, I did with Michael Wagner, and he's amazing, but it's a hard rock record, and but this one is like classic rock, blues rock, singer songwriter, Americana. Man, the flavors are like really, I really went out and like, because I'm just like, who do I have to impress? I just want to create music that I want to listen to, and it is hard to be in a spot right now where, you can't really play stuff off the net. The whole Europe tour that I just did with a solo Euro tour, was all the new music, you know. I felt like I could get away with playing.
How did people respond to that?
Dude, the response was cool. I gotta say, it was so cool because, you know, I know that a lot of people couldn't understand like what I was saying just because like I talked kind of fast, and I realized that when you're in like Germany and stuff, you gotta like not talk so fast because like, yeah, they speak really like everyone speaks like 4 languages and they're way better at it than you. And it's amazing. But like they were connecting with the music. And even though I spent so much time, meticulous time with the lyrics, it really is about the vibe, the story, the energy, and the, you know, taking somebody out of time and just being like, experiencing something together, even as just like a little solo looper show. It was, the response was really, really cool, man. Especially in like, you know, rural Germany, you know, some place I had no like business being, just like playing and to like, you know, 30 people, 40 people. I loved it.
The first album, like you said, produced by Michael Wagner, who's now retired. That was a rock record. And for those listening who haven't listened to Jax yet, the guitar playing, the singing, like I said in the beginning, was incredible. Were you okay with making that transition from that rock record into more Americana, more bluesy, classic rock style?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you'll be able to hear that. What I hope you do, especially as an artist, is like you hear me in every song. You know, if I created the song, probably that would work. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, that it's like that one is harsher and harder just because, and also because the production was a little harder. You know, Michael's worked with like big like metal rock guys, you know, and the Sound Emporium, when I was recording it, you know, I had like guys from all over, you know, people who've played with like Brothers Osborne, you know, drummer recording with Brothers Osborne, bass player recording with and Wilson, you know, like all of these like variables and factors of just as diverse as the new music is becoming. But yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked. Where was I?
No, you were just talking about going from that rock record to the record now. I mean, were you okay with that evolution?
I am. I really love the evolution. I think, and the people I've worked with so far, the only people who have heard the record so far say that it's like that you can hear, like they said, you can hear like the maturity in it, you know. I don't know if that's, I hope it's a good thing.
Well, that's one of the things that's one of the things that I noticed in kind of the preview that I was given was it was a lot more, you can tell that there's been an evolution, you know, with you as an artist and with songwriting. Not to say what you've released so far wasn't good. It's fantastic, but I always like to see where that artist goes after that first album as they move forward. I mean, there's only one band really that can sound the same on every album, and
AC/DC.
Exactly, and it still sounds absolutely fantastic. But they're an anomaly, right? They're not the norm. You look at Led Zeppelin, who we've talked about. You look at their evolution from Led Zeppelin 1 all the way through the Outdoor. And, you know, that was about 10 years of time, a little bit over 10 years. And just look at how different, especially after Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 2 are kind of the same. There's elements of the same, but there's still kind of an evolution in 2 that really went into Led Zeppelin 3, which was vastly different. But I think Led Zeppelin 3 created music. They created music on Led Zeppelin 3 that allowed them to make Led Zeppelin 4 and then House of the Holy and all that stuff. Because I think that's why I think Led Zeppelin 3 is such an important album, because it really diversified their music and had their fans accept it so they could move forward with that. So that was an interesting thing that they did. But yes, evolving is essential to an artist. How do you keep evolving? What do you do? I mean, is it just playing? Is it listening to different stuff? Is it whatever the case is? How do you maintain that form of evolution?
Yeah, well, just like, with the Zeppelin thing, I've read like biographies and stuff because I'm a nerd, and people were like pissed. They're like, how could you do that? How could you go from like this hard rock, like let's like have sex in the back of the car, to like, like kind of like country sounding, stuff. And I'm lucky because nobody really knows I exist. So I can like find my song before people even know, if they even know I exist. So I kind of got a lot of more free reign, which is more terrifying. But for me, I'm not really afraid of experimenting musically because I'm lucky I have the tools, to be able to, dive deep and approach it from so many different angles. Even though I haven't found the secret code that allows me to, get instant inspiration, but the evolution, in my opinion, has a lot come from just, being in my mid-20s and being like sucker punched half the time with like life things happening, breakups, fallouts, people, snakes in the grass. I've been in doing all this independently. Man, there is countless inspiration for people who like come into my life and change it. And you're just like, holy shit, how could I have done any of this without you? You're incredible. To people who like promise you the world and then literally just like pull the rug out and are like, oh, hey, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yes. I have heard very familiar horror stories of what you're talking about. And who was I just talking with about that? I think it was Matt from the Ravagers. And Matt came from Biters with Tuck Smith, which is a phenomenal band. It's like Cheap Trick meets Thin Lizzy.
Nice.
And just a fantastic band. And they got screwed over. And I asked them the question. I said, why do these people do this? Like, why do they sign a band because they love how they sound? And then once the ink is dry on the contract, it's like a marathon of screw in terms of just screwing over the artist or wanting the artist to sound like something different. It's heartbreaking when you hear that as a fan of these musicians and as these bands, that they have to go through that stuff. They have to, like you said, they deal with snakes in the grass. I can't tell you how many times I've heard these stories and I just shake my head. Like, why does this continue to happen? Why do record labels, people that sign these guys, once you get into, the office area and these meetings, it's about the algorithm. Well, we need a song that fits these algorithms. Screw the algorithms. What's good is good, And when you look at music over the last decade or so, mainly the last decade, it's all based on algorithm. And in turn, it all sounds the same. And I'm not talking about rock music. I'm talking about pop. I'm talking about rap, R&B. And
some rock, some rock music.
Some rock too, like with mainstream rock, it sounds cookie cutter, and it's because they have this algorithm that they got to get to kind of conform to. And what happens is, well, here's the thing. Here's the secret that record labels don't understand about rock fans. Rock fans don't want that. Rock fans don't want to be spoon-fed things that are predetermined by an algorithm on their listening habits. Rock fans have a sense of wonder. Rock fans want to discover new things. Some don't. Some are just focused on the classic rock and the same 50 songs they hear every day. And that's great. That's what they want. But the most of us don't adhere to an algorithm. Case in point, look how many people go to these shows, and whether it's the stadium tour, whether it's seeing all these other big shows or whatever, they're largely sold out. I just saw Scorpions and Thunder Mother because I wanted to see Thunder Mother, this great Swedish rock band. I love that band.
I know about them. Yeah.
Yeah. And Scorpions, credit to them, brought them out based on the fact that they liked their music, not on the number of streams they had. And, you know, when I went to go see them in Chicago, it was close to 18,000 people they were playing for. And they gave them an hour set because Whitesnake pulled out of the show. So instead of them just giving them a half hour, they gave them a full hour. And it connected with the crowd. And most of these people never heard of this band prior to going into the show. So again, the algorithm doesn't work for rock and roll.
No, the algorithm doesn't work for true artists, I think. Like, you know, that's when you make the distinction of artist and business, right? And that's the you know, long going, like, big struggle and war is artist versus business, you know. And a true artist is somebody who's like totally fine, you know. Like in Europe, one night I slept on a dog bed, a literal dog bed. And then the next night I was at like this hotel in like Brennen, Germany. And it's like the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. And I was like, last night I literally slept on a dog bed. And that's the biggest like thing of like, that's the roller coaster ride of an artist, you know. But with, you know, people like the Scorpions, you know, for them to bring somebody on, for a big act to say, yes, I want this person, this band to open for me, that is bigger than anything I think you can get nowadays. The recognition of an already established, you know, trusted like band to bring somebody up and be like, no, you guys got to listen to this is more valuable than anything. Like, you can't put a value on that, you know?
In terms of your own career, you know, with this new album coming out, are you okay with being independent and a do-it-yourself artist?
You know, I'm like open to working with people. I've been rejected so much, dude. Like, I don't know why. I've had things like almost pull through that could be monumental, and I've just never gotten it quite right. And I don't really know why. And yeah, it's like heartbreaking, and it's there's just a strange transitional like phase where I'm just like, do I really know what I'm doing? Fuck no, I don't know what I'm doing. But like, is there somebody who would want to like go on this crazy journey with me? You know, like, yeah, I have people in my corner, like incredible people. And I'm like super, super grateful and thankful for them. And I wonder if maybe that is the way to go, just to have, you know, someone with authority, you know, instead of just being so independent. And it's not totally by choice. It's kind of just semi by choice, but also because like people see me and they're like, we don't know what to do with you most of the time. And that's like, they like encourage me and they're like, don't stop what you're doing, but we don't know what to do with you. And that is so heartbreaking, man. Because it's like, if someone, yeah.
What's the reason for that? Like, why do they say that?
Because they say, you don't, like, what do we do with you? Where do we put you? You've got, you know, especially with the new record, I've got Wallflower Girl in Bloom, which is like this Americana song, you know, violin, banjo, and then I've got like, you know, bangers and, you know, Ethereal Emerald, which starts, you know, it's like Zeppelin meets, it's just, they don't know what to do, and I don't know what to do, and it's just like, you just got to put it out there and see what happens, because there's no other option sometimes.
Well, I also think too, you know, it's kind of short-sighted to say that, like, they don't know what to do with you. I mean, there's always going to be different tones on an album, different types. I mean, very few albums have a, you know, continuing sound throughout. Some do, some don't. You know, when you look at, or from album to album, you know, per se, it's a different sound and it's a different tone. And I don't know what the right answer is, but I just think it's indicative to where the record industry is that they want something, they want a safe bet. You know, they want something that, you know, if they're going to sign an artist, they want to make sure that the odds of this artist having a song that people connect with, or people, it's based on an algorithm, right? They hear the algorithm as they're hearing an artist like yourself. I'm like, oh man, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, dude, like they want a safe bet, but I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I can tell you how many bro country guys with their, you know, Bass Pro, like, you know, baseball cap on, like I can tell you like 50 of them. And it's just like, they want a safe bet, but like, man, do they really want a safe bet? Like, I don't know, man. Isn't that boring?
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, I fight this battle because I promote a lot of new music on this podcast. And, you know, it's frustrating when I have friends of mine who won't listen to anything new, but then I'll send them a link, you know, to a song. Oh, this is pretty good. Well, yeah, it's like, of course it is. That's why I listen to it, because it's good. You know, and if you keep listening to classic rock all day, you're not going to hear this stuff. But, you know, whether it's, you know, Tyler Bryant's new album, I mean, listen to that. I mean, it's got a song where they got spoons and forks in the background that they're playing on, you know, and then they've got a couple rockers like you have, but it's a fantastic album. You know, you look at the Goodbye June album that came out earlier this year, which is one of my favorites, if not my favorite album for this year. You know, from their previous album, Community Inn, it was just plug and play. They had it was produced by Paul Moak, and it's just a kick-ass record. I think when people complain about rock music not being mainstream anymore, or why aren't they on commercials? Why aren't they performing at the Super Bowl? Why doesn't the Grammys, you know, show the Rock Award? You know, what's up with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Why is this artist in? I don't think we can concern ourselves with those entities anymore, because they're just going to do what they're going to do. And I always bring up this quote, and I name drop Nick Reese from Joyous Wolf, great band out of LA.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, he said, because I had him on with Guernica Mancini, the singer from Thunder Mother, and he said this, and I kind of, it changed my perspective. We don't need rock and roll to be mainstream. We don't need it to be this big, huge entity, because rock and roll now is for the fans. It's the fans' music. It's not anything else. And to kind of piggyback off that, it's not based on algorithm. It's not based on cookie cutter music. It truly is. And if rock and roll ever became mainstream, I think music that we love would be ruined, because then the algorithms come in. Then you got to sound like this. Oh, we know what's best. They forget the fact that rock and roll got there without those algorithms. That's my point. So I think rock and roll is kind of left out on its own right now. And I think that's fine. I think that's good, because I do think rock and roll popularity is growing from the shows I saw pre-pandemic to the shows I see now.
Mm-hmm. And it's always been feral like that, dude. Rock has always been the outsider, the black sheep, I see what you're doing there. Look at this counterculture. Like, that has always been at the heart of what rock is. And nothing is changing that in that sense. And that's a great thing. But like, it's totally changed now with this. I kind of call it like revival rock. I don't know. I don't know if that's like the right term, but like, it's got that biting spirit and like that sexiness that like drew rock. Like, the first time you heard, why do you like rock? Oh, it's biting, it's sexy, it's awesome. Like, yeah, you know, it's got that energy. It's got that thing, you know?
And when you compare it to rap and pop music, which is all put out by record labels, or, you know, the popular stuff they don't have the freedoms now that rock artists have. You know, you want to go write a song, Jax, and you want to put it on an album, no one's gonna say, no, I don't like it. I don't think it should be on the album. You believe in it. You want it on there, and it's good, right? I think once you get to a certain level of popularity, you start to lose that freedom depending on where you're at with a record label. You know, for Tyler Bryant to go independent after years of making records on a label and have him say it gives us the freedom to do what we want, when we want to do it, however we want to do it, is where it is for rock music. And I think that's a great thing, because when we had these bands on record labels, especially some of the bands that were out there, it did sound the same. And I don't want that. I don't want it to be cookie cutter. I want to know the difference between a Dirty Honey, a Joyous Wolf, a Dorothy, a Jax Hollow, and a Struts. You know, I want to hear that.
Yeah, dude.
I want to hear that identity.
Do you think what's crazy is like our platform for like kind of like distinguishing like, you know, acts that you should like listen to with like revival rock stuff are people like you and like, you know, all things blues, southern rock considered podcasts, like stuff like that. I think it's kind of dope, you know, like I heard about a bunch of people through like different podcasts. Like some of my friends are on those podcasts, and it's just like, wait, we are kind of creating something. You guys are kind of creating like, you know, the community of like sort of, it's not underground. It's just like, I don't know. There is something happening here, and it's cool. And I just hope it keeps going.
I believe so, right? It's become underground, and underground adds to that excitement, right? Most people don't listen to this. This is cool. I remember when I was growing up, and rock and roll was kind of in the same spot before MTV got a hold of it. And it was underground. It was dangerous. It was on the edge. And then to my point, once MTV got a hold of it, after a few years, rock became more about what you looked like than what you played like. And it got completely out of control. And then the grunge movement came, and it went from this party glammed up style of music to very serious, very, you know, important lyrics. Love that era, but it was the yin and the yang. You went so far one way, eventually it had to be brought back the other way. But now I think it's just record labels and the music industry has their heads up their asses with what people like and keeping people in this never-ending cycle of the same stuff, that when a young kid hears something that's different, that's dangerous, that sounds really cool, that has that power chord that just connects with them instantly. And it's like you said, it's that middle finger, it's that counterculture. As kids get older, they kind of go back to that forum, that style of music, because it's connecting with them.
Yeah, makes them feel like badass. Yeah.
Well, think about it. When you go to a big box store like Target and you hear music, it's background music, right? You don't really pay attention to it, but it's there. But it's all pop music. It's all, you know, what's popular. Rock and roll, you're never going to hear, you know, you're never going to hear a Jax Hollow song in Target, or a Joyous Wolf song in Target, or you know, Tyler Bryant song in Target.
Dude, I did hear a Jade Bird song at like Walmart the other day, and I was like, girl, I was really excited because, and it only takes just like, you know, some people like Jade Bird just to have that little, you know, when she put out a new record, it wasn't as like, you know, biting, I think, and like rock as like that other one. But like I heard one like her older stuff in like a Walmart or something, and I was like, all it takes is that little crossover, and then people start nodding, and they're like, what's going on over there? What's happening? And then record guys are like, oh shit, there's a lot of money to be made here. Okay, what are we gonna do? Maybe that's how it works. Yeah. You know, but again, it's like, oh, there's a lot of money to be made here. Let's do it. And let's try to change the artist too while we're doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's that internal conflict of the artist and the business. Yeah.
True. But, you know, years ago, they used to give you 2-3 albums to kind of develop you and grow you. Now you've got one song. So that's why, you know, independent, I think, for rock music, for a rock artist, is really the way to go, and find and get a good management team that surrounds you. And here's the other thing: I don't know why bands and artists, and maybe they do. Maybe you've had a different experience than what I've observed, but why isn't there more of a conversation between young bands that tell people, stay away from this entity, stay away from this label, stay away from this. This is who we're working with. We're having a lot of success. They do a really good job. I don't know why there's not more conversation like that. I mean, when you have a contract put in front of you, I think it's on you to a certain aspect to kind of do your homework on who you're signing up with. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. But there's a lot of things I assume that happen that have to be hush hush too, and for a lot of different parties' sakes, I guess.
Well, you can always do the hypothetically. Would you ever work with this person?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think that there's, and again, maybe it's wrong with what I've observed, but I have talked to young artists, young bands, and they have said that there's a community, a more supportive community out there. So I don't know. Maybe it can happen and maybe it won't. Or maybe it just isn't at that level yet.
Maybe it's kind of like with what you guys are doing with the podcast and giving like legitimacy to what's happening. Kind of maybe there's some like crazy millionaire who comes around and is like, hey, I want to rally all these amazing like kind of like revival rock bands together and throw a bunch of money at them for them to do what they want. And we'll all just sort of like tour and be together. Yeah, I don't know. But, that could be, it'd be cool to legitimize it in like, a more extreme fashion too, like some kind of MTV for what I assume back in the day did for music. But like you said, there's that fine line of like not changing it, but also letting artists be artists. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The podcast genre has been doing awesome stuff for independent artists. And I've discovered a bunch of artists through podcasts too. And I think that if nothing else, that's pretty great, I think.
I agree. When is this album coming out?
I think spring 2023. I think I'm going to release like 3 singles up until then. Again, I would love to like sort of have a plan and maybe like have some kind of like release strategy team kind of thing. I am kind of still like shooting in the dark with this. So I've got like a lot of friends and a lot of like people that I work with, but like I don't have a strategy, man. I'm totally like, it's just me and then the people who just support me, which is wild to have strangers like donate to like your record. It's like, holy shit, I don't deserve this, and it makes you, but it gives you fire, to make something incredible, but it's just like, it is overwhelming, man. I kind of wish that someone would come in and help a little bit in terms of releasing the album. Cause I don't know what I'm doing,
Well, you're the artist. You're supposed to create. That's one of the biggest differences about new bands today is they live in that grind and they are not just artists creating music. They have to be social media experts, promoting experts, all that stuff. So that's one of the unfortunate things is you do have a lot on your plate and on your shoulders being an independent, being a new emerging artist, because if you don't do it, unfortunately, no one else is going to do it. And I think that's where the biggest struggle lies with new bands, new artists, is the time it takes that you have to be on social media to try to get a connection with an audience and feed into an audience. And then also you got to create music and you got to go play shows. So it is a mountain to climb. It's tough.
Yeah, but like the rewards at the top of that mountain, even just to like be proud even just to like have a record that you're like totally proud of, even if it doesn't go anywhere, and you've created something that would not have existed before, like that's monumental, you know?
I don't know if you'll find this comforting or inspirational, but I saw a new emerging band last year in 2021 twice. And both those shows, there was probably a total of 40 people there combined with both shows. They got a great slot on an opening for a band on a tour this year that they were playing to crowds every night, 1,500 to 2,000 people. And a huge fan of the band. It was great to see that when they were playing 2021, I mean, they were struggling to find an audience. And now being on tour with this act that's also kind of on the older side of the emerging bands in terms of they've been around for about a decade or so. That was the opener. But to see them playing in front of crowds, winning the crowds over, it can happen. I mean, you can be at that point in one stage of your career where you can barely get people out to see you. And then, within 8 months, you're on a tour and you're growing your audience and you're selling merch and people at your merch table. And that's awesome when it happens. And that can kind of propel you into that next level by doing that.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. Like, that evolution is everything, and I mean, obviously I dream about that every night. It's powerful.
I always believe if the music is good, people will find it. Your music is outstanding. And I think people are going to find it. You've only had one album, 2021. I mean, should people be hearing it? More people? Absolutely. But I think that's a great base for you to start with. And I can't wait for this new album because from what I've heard, it is fantastic. And I think it will connect and resonate with people. And I think it's going to be another building block for you in your career and moving forward.
Yeah, man. Thank you. That means a lot. I needed to hear that. Thank you.
It's like, I wish one of the things that I've said myself and people who I've talked to say, and I hate saying it, but I find myself saying it. If this was released 25 years ago, this would be huge, or this would have been huge, blah, blah. The sad part of it is it's true, and it should mean the same in the modern day as it did from yesteryear, in my opinion, because I believe what's good is good, and what's good people should listen to, and people should want to promote it.
Yeah, dude. At the end of the day, it's a song, like if you believe in the song and like everyone will buy into it if you believe in the song and the song is good. Like I'll go through you go through like 20 songs to get one gem to put on the record. Like that is like people fight for these songs, and there's no denying like if a song is good or not, it's just like if it moves somebody, like that is an insane thing to do, to like have a stranger come up to you and be like, hey, like that song like means this much to me. And I'm, that's like, it's intoxicating, and I don't know, it makes me feel like I have some importance on this like floating rock in space.
Before we wrap up, are you okay where you're at in your career and anticipating the new album? Are you obviously, you want to be known by more people, that goes without saying, but as it stands now, are you okay where you're at in your career?
Nah, dude, I mean, like, I don't even have, like, I'm, like, literally in my car outside of Dunkin' Donuts, like, my phone's about to die, and I'm, like, gotta go back to Nashville because I'm playing downtown, like, literally tomorrow, and I just got back from Germany, so I can play, like, Take another little piece of my heart, oh baby. Tomorrow down on Broadway. Like, it's just, I don't really know, dude. I'm like floundering and flopping around out here. I don't think so.
Well, hey, the honesty is appreciated, but what you got is good, and I think that's going to change eventually.
Thank you, man.
Jax, it's been a great conversation. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Seriously. Thank you.
Everyone, that's Jax Hollow. I'm Jay Scott. This is The Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of each other. We'll talk soon.
She got it going on. Damn girl. I said damn girl. Are you a mathematician? Your body got my undivided attention. But that doesn't matter now, does it? You got your silver spoon, diamonds on your wrist. Less than impressed with my compliments. Ready to slay in your little black dress. I know you wanna